And then we blocked that. I was like, no. Why not me? Why? No, they're going to figure out that I am, oh no. So.
The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to The Force of Others. I'm Matt Poitner.
I'm Zachary Owen Turner, and today we're talking about Katee Sackhoff losing her acting confidence, all of the new Star Wars Visions posters, and an episode preview. And then we're going to head it over into the Interview Cantina with Imperial Remnant podcast. But before we get to all that, we're jumping straight into the mailbag with a question from Dustin Potter. Dustin asks, will we ever get a true live-action Clone Wars of some kind? Matt, what are your thoughts?
So, true, I don't know, but I think it is basically confirmed that we're going to get more Clone Wars flashbacks in Ahsoka Season 2, and I think it's basically confirmed that we're getting Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Mm-hmm. A couple weeks ago, when Zach and I were at Rebel ScumCon, my phone started going off, and I looked down, and it was all over Twitter that Ewan said at one of the cons he's doing right now, because he's on the con circuit, looks like. He's like, yes, we are filming Ahsoka Season 2 right now. And everybody went, what? And then the quote that came out afterwards was him saying, yeah, what's the big deal? My wife is on the show, and when she films, we're all a part of it. I'm getting to watch my kid and stuff. It wasn't, that's not news. Like, what? But then, this quote came out just like a day or two ago, that apparently he said at Fan Expo Canada, I am watching every episode of the Clone Wars. That's my homework. Homework for what, dog? Like, First off, it ain't homework to watch Clone Wars. It is a joy, and it is required viewing for all Star Wars fans to watch Clone Wars.
But if you're doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2 or an Ahsoka cameo, it might be homework.
Oh, dude,
Acting homework.
Exactly. I think I think Ewan's coming back for Ahsoka Season 2. You would not say the words, this is my homework, without it being prep for something. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's not done. I think he's coming back. But what do you have to say about this?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think we're getting definitely a huge flashback in Ahsoka Season 2. I wouldn't be surprised if when Ahsoka has to go into whatever the Force Nexus, that Aboleth or whatever, that mountain with the giant, what is this? Lightning. This is lightning, in case you didn't know.
Okay.
I think she has to go through a Force vision, very much like Luke does in the cave. I know we kind of already got that a little bit in the first season, but I think we're going to get another one of those. And why not? Ewan has already said, I want to wear the armor. The Clone Wars armor. So yeah, I think we're going to get a full episode. That's my prediction. A full episode of Clone Wars in Ahsoka Season 2 with the cast. And that is my prediction. Because why would you watch all of the Clone Wars? All of it. Like, not just like key episodes, but all of it?
Yeah.
Also, you think Ewan McGregor's calling up James Arnold Taylor and being like, yo, what'd you do?
No. Because James Arnold Taylor would be like, I just did your voice, man. I did you. And he'd be like, all right, goodbye. And he'd hang up. No shade on James Arnold Taylor, but I would be more baffled if Ewan was calling James Arnold Taylor for like Obi-Wan Kenobi advice than if he showed up in Ahsoka Season 2, honestly. No shade on either
cameo.
of them. That would be a cool cameo.
We already got Matt Lanter in
Mando,
so.
I'm saying. Yeah. Jat could easily play like just a droid or a little like techie guy or something. But anyway, no offense to either of those actors. But yeah, so to answer your question, Dustin, true live action Clone Wars, I don't know, but I think we're getting more. What we do know for sure is that Hayden Christensen is in Ahsoka Season 2.
Yeah.
Supposedly with a much bigger role. Like, he's been open about it. He's been there filming for a lot of time. So, Clone Wars fans, you're going to get more, what do they call them? Member berries. More member berries coming for Clone Wars fans. But just like Shadow Warrior and Ahsoka Season 1, there is more to it than member berries. Filoni's not going to do that unless there's philosophical meaning behind what's happening. But I am stoked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have another question that you'd like for us to answer, listener or watcher, send it to forcefeathersradio@gmail.com, and we'll probably eventually talk about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach, what else we got going on today?
Well, how is is the time where we go into our weeks. So how is your week? How did Star Wars find you this week?
Work, real life wise, a lot of work. Academy semester going strong. We're getting ready for our trip to Junior Theater Festival, so those auditions are coming up. So there's a lot happening, and my head is about to pop off of my body and fly away because there's so much going on. But Star Wars found me in a way that I talked about last week. It didn't find me so much as I found it. But I went to The Force Awakens in concert at Bass Hall in downtown Fort Worth. My biggest takeaway was, like you said, it was so much fun. Mm-hmm. It was wild. I didn't know. Sorry, Fort Worth Symphony. I didn't know y'all were that good. You know, you hear about these movies in concert with a live orchestra, and usually it's at like the Hollywood Bowl or you know, the Boston Pops or something, or big, huge, world-renowned orchestras are putting these things together. And I was like, Fort Worth, my expectations were quite low. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't tell that they had taken the soundtrack out of the mix of the movie most of the time. They were locked on. They were perfect. The conductor told a really, really wonderful story. He came out, and we've been experiencing a lot of this lately with ScumCon and just other people we've been talking to, where he talked about, before the show started, that he saw the first Star Wars movie in theaters. It was really funny because he was like, I don't understand how, I know you're all thinking, how could that be possible? I look so young. Why are you laughing? It was a funny bit. But but he said that at the time, his mom had just bought him his first trumpet, and he wasn't real big into practicing. He wasn't really committed. And then that movie started, and they hit the opening, and he said, I would not be standing here were it not for that moment in the theater as a young man. Hearing music that loud and that exciting and that it was the instrument that I was learning literally set me on my path. And it is a dream come true to get to conduct this for you today. And I was like, let's go. This is awesome.
I just got chills.
It was a fantastic moment. And again, thanks to Jarrett Self, buddy, former coworker, for hooking it up, giving me 2 free tickets to go see that. It was really, really wonderful. And what was so fun about it is most of the time, you know, you go to the symphony or you go to a concert like that, and it's very, very kind of like highbrow people who will sit very quietly and then offer some golf claps after particular movements have completed. This was not that. People were cheering, they were applauding, they were going nuts. There are so many fist pump moments in Force Awakens. I know that movie is a shameless cover song of Star Wars Episode 4. It absolutely is. There is no escaping that. There's no denying that. But this movie is the best version of that you could have. Period. There are so many just woo moments in that movie, and being in a room of like 400 people with live music and the movie blown up on this giant screen cheering at all those moments. It was awesome.
Did the crowd go wild when he said, Chewie, we're home?
That was, yes, absolutely. That might have been, I think that was the second big, like, freak out cheer. The first one is the Falcon.
Yeah.
What about that ship? That one's garbage. The garbage will do. Which is just the best reveal of the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, the point is, I found The Force Awakens more than it found me, and that movie is awesome. And we will be talking about it more as we finish the last quarter of this year, because that movie is about to turn 10 years old.
Yeah.
It's going to turn double digits. But Zach, how was your week, and how did Star Wars find you this week?
Yeah, week was okay. I was a little under the weather this week, so just kind of holed up in bed, you know. But that's okay. I rewatched some stuff. I watched Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 1. And there's a little bit of news that we're not going to cover because I wanted to throw it into my week and I didn't tell Matt. But James Gunn talks about how he wants to, in an interview recently, he's like, yeah, I want a George Lucas all over the DCU. I want to just like go in and like cut parts and like reorder them and like change things. And he did that to Peacemaker Season 1. In the flashback, the old DC Justice League was there at the end, and he's like, you guys were late, blah, 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 with lots of profanity. In this flashback, he just redid it with the Justice Gang and Superman and Supergirl. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's the best way to George Lucas something.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, I really liked this part of the DCU that we had, and these are the things I've worked on, so they're in my canon. Guess what? Now they're just going to be canon, and I'm going to rewrite history right here and rewipe it, and there you go. It's the Justice Gang. And so I thought that was really cool, and a good use of some George Lucas filmmaking. And then we're gearing all up to go to the New York Renaissance Fair. So if you're there on Sunday, I will be in a giant blue wizard cloak. So come and find me. But Kai's working on it, and she was like, I'm afraid to cut this fabric. And I got to use the line, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And she did exactly what Matt is doing right now. Just shaking her head. She's like, honey. So that was how Star Wars found me. But as far as other Star Wars news coming out, we got a big thing that kind of took the internet by storm a little bit. Katee Sackhoff was talking about her Bo Katan role recently, and she said that her confidence was really shaken after playing Bo Katan. She said, quote, I lost all my confidence after Mandalorian. All of it. My style of acting has always just been, your first instinct is the right instinct. Do that. Play the reality of the situation. And I've never really played a character. Do you know what I mean? I've always played 2 steps removed from myself, in a sense. I've always felt grounded in some part of my belly for who I was. Bo Katan is nowhere near who I am as a human being. Her life, what she wants, I didn't understand her. As much as I understood her, I never felt her in my stomach. I never identified with her. I didn't know how to find her. Matt, any thoughts on this before I say mine?
Well, I was surprised because I wasn't particularly wowed by her performance as Bo Katan, but it wasn't bad at all. I thought she did a great job. Part of it was it's a character that, at least on Mando Season 3, I don't think was particularly emotionally... she didn't emote a lot. You know what I mean? Like, she has a journey that she's going on, but it wasn't... It was and was not about her.
Yeah.
So, I sometimes as an actor, you get caught in the trap of, should I be doing more? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing more? And it's like, to act, don't schmact. You know what I mean? Just like she said, play the present reality of the situation. Very sad to hear that she let the discouragement monkey jump on her back and take all her confidence away. Because that's no bueno. But it happens to the best of us, and I hope she has the confidence back. I don't know if that was the end of her story. Because she's very talented. Yeah. And she works for good reason. But what do you got about this?
Well, so we got to sit down for the Sackhoff show at Rebel Scum Con. Shout out to Rebel Scum Con. And I think she's somebody that does get in her own head a little bit, as an actor who also gets in their own head. When they did this awesome improv segment, and she was literally crying with fear to do this improv thing. She's like, I'm not good at improv. And then she slayed it. She was amazing at improv. Like, she was so hilarious and on the thing. And so I think it's just that, like, oh yeah, like I'm in my head, and then when I get up to do it, no, I'm good, I'm on, Yeah. And so I think she has it, I don't think she has to worry about either Bo-Katan. I'm also surprised. I was surprised to hear this because she also did the voice in the Clone Wars and Rebels. So like, you think there would be more of a through line with the character in her, but I guess doing voiceover and being in an actual costume and all that is a little bit different. So, but I'm surprised to hear it, but I don't think Miss Sackhoff has anything to worry about.
Yeah.
But we all get the vampires, as they say in title of the show, die vampire, die. So.
I did just remember, I had one other thing about actor confidence. Raul Coley, who, if you want to Google him, I saw some kind of interview with him. Just YouTube was autoplaying in the background of whatever productivity I was doing, and he was talking about how he when he finally watched Black Mass, which is the Mike Flanagan critique of religion, is basically what I would describe that show on Netflix. Excellent show, highly recommend it. And I don't like scary things, but when he finally watched it, he said to Mike Flanagan, he was like, "Okay, thank God I didn't F up your show, because I had no confidence this whole time." And he said, "You want to know what's funny? Every single one of you, every single member of the cast said that," which says something interesting about maybe Mike Flanagan's directing style. But he talked about how it was always such a warm and welcome environment, but that he has found every single actor he's ever worked with has at some point not had any confidence at all in what they're doing, if not constantly not had any confidence at all in what they're doing. And he says, if anything, that might be the juice that keeps us going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every actor that I talk to, especially when they get something bigger, they're like, "Yeah, I'm the imposter. I have the imposter syndrome. Yeah. I am here with all of these other people who deserve it more than I do." And so it's like, yeah, you got the job. You're there. You deserve it, you know?
Yeah, the second professional acting gig I ever booked was Les Mis at Casa Manana. Shout out. And do the thing that everybody always does in the first rehearsal, where you meet everybody, you're shaking hands, and then you go home and you Facebook friend everybody. Actually, I don't know if that's the thing anymore. Now it's probably Instagram. But going back 10 years, I Facebook friended everybody and discovered that I was the cast member with a solo that did not have a national tour credit, a Broadway credit, or something of that caliber. I was the one. And I was like, what? And there was a part of the show where everyone turns upstage towards me, and literally all of the eyeballs in the theater and on stage are looking at me singing. And then we blocked that. I was like, no. Why not me? Why? No, they're going to figure out that I am, oh no. So, not that I am anywhere near the level of Katee Sackhoff and Bo Katan, but it happens to everybody, and I hope that she listens to the true voice, that in fact she is very talented.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Well, she's filming something right now, so...
Yeah,
Rebel Scum
Carrie?
Con, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She was very quickly in and quickly out, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as other news we got a little Star Wars Visions update, which, as the resident Star Wars Vision expert on this podcast, I was super excited about. We got a new poster, and we got a preview of one of the episodes. So talking about the poster itself, it's pretty standard Disney Plus poster. There's 3 slashes. Each one of them have a bunch of characters, but notably, 2 of the sets are from the first season, because we know we're getting sequels to that, which are the Ninth Jedi, which is the top right character, and the Duelist, which is the TikTok sound that went crazy. Your lightsaber is red. For those of you who haven't watched, that's where that sound is from. So very excited about that. But right underneath the Duelist is what a episode called Black, and we have gotten 2 images from it. They talk about it being a very psychedelic take on Star Wars. One of the images has eyeballs rifting into the screen, and the other image is 2 stormtroopers battling each other, and then their reflections. One of them looks like a Jedi underneath, so I don't know if we're getting a Jedi mind-tricked stormtrooper fighting another stormtrooper or what. But the poster itself as well has a stormtrooper missing an arm and one of them missing a face. So I don't know if we're getting, very zombie-esque or what. But the quote that they gave us from StarWars.com is, "We really got down into some fine details for this film. There's the Death Star. The setting is really super detailed, and the stormtroopers drawing out the action in battle scenes. It was really quite an arduous task for the animators. So that was painful, but it was worth it. And the end result really speaks for itself. It's really kind of something nobody's ever seen before. We wanted to offer a film that was mainly based on Sakura Fujiwara," yeah, I believe that's how you say the name. If it's not, I apologize, "singing voice, set against these visuals of intense battle. That was our vision, and we made the film." So it sounds like it's going to be pretty much a music video, which is really cool. I love, I don't know if I grew up with the age of Star Wars, of some Star Wars fan, and just the original YouTube was so many of these, like, it would just be music and then images of Star Wars put together, or like little clips, way back in the day, like 20 years ago. But so this seems like a kind of like that, like a anime music video, but actually intentionally an anime music video. So, Matt, any thoughts?
Well, you kind of hinted at it before. Visions has not captured my imagination. I am gonna rewatch. I've seen a lot of Volume 1. I've seen none of Volume 2. I'm gonna rewatch all of Volume 1 and watch Volume 2, and we'll do a recap / deep dive episode before Volume 3 comes out in October.
Cool.
I think it's October. It's either October or November. Whatever.
October
Comes out
29th.
later on this year. There you go. There it is. We'll do a recap and deep dive before that comes out. But it's mostly just anime. It's just not my thing. No shade on it if it's your thing. It's just it's never really... I haven't been able to get past the elements that are very, very unique to anime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No shade. It's just not something I've ever been interested in, really. But this sounds cool. And the best thing about Visions to me is that it exists. And they have the freedom to do whatever they want. Just do really wild, crazy stuff. And yeah, we could use some more of that. Star Wars so often feels like homework if you consume it in the wrong way. Yeah. Where you're just trying to get all of it and then figure out how it all connects and then doesn't connect and whatever. And it's fairy tales, man. It should be allowed to just be weird and unique and different and just tell different fairy tales. Yeah. So that's the best thing about Visions.
You brought it up last time, Ahsoka's quote, there is some truth to legends. And these are all kind of legends to me. They're basically Disney being like, hey, you guys remember the EU and all that you guys really liked? Yeah, we're kind of doing that. But it's not canon, but hey, it's not canon, so that's okay. Yeah. Here it is. Yeah. So, yeah. I love Visions as a person who watches anime every now and then. I think it's really cool, and there honestly, there's some stuff that is wild in that, and I understand why people don't like it. And there's some stuff that you're like, cool, this is for absolutely any Star Wars fan should watch this episode. But there's a little bit of everything for everyone, which is what I really like about it. And it's kind of a Star Wars what if without being a Star Wars what if, which is cool. Kind of opens that door to hopefully eventually get that. But them's the news. Yeah. Now we're going to send it over to the Interview Cantina with Matt. And sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let me preface this real quick. I just wanted to... So, Imperial Remnant, we talked about it in the interview. He's cool, such a cool guy. Adam Gagnon, loved this conversation. He actually commented on our short where it was me going on a rant as to why Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck, why it shouldn't just be a rumor, why they should take over Lucasfilm and run things, because Filoni gets the Force. I call Carrie Beck Andy Heck twice. I don't know who Andy Heck is or where that's in my brain, but Carrie Beck is the person that I'm mentioning, and I make fun of myself. I put up a graphic in the interview. You'll see it. But so he found us and commented on our stuff and blah, 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 and then we were able to get an interview to happen. But why I love his channel, just quick shout-out, Imperial Remnant Podcast. It is a lore YouTube channel, cool. But it's not just Star Wars lore from Wikipedia with a TikTok music track underneath it. He gives insight and he dives deep, and some of his videos are longer and they're not just 45 seconds long. There are channels that do that really, really well, and there are channels that don't, but he absolutely crushes. So go check out his stuff, Imperial Remnant Podcast. And like Zach was saying, well, we get into a lot of stuff. I'll of course find out what Star Wars means to him. We also do some deep dives on the balance of the Force and his ideas for a sequel to the sequel trilogy. Ooh. And where he thinks it should go next. But with that being said, let's throw it over to me and the Remnant. All right, and we are here in the Interview Cantina with good friend of the podcast. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. That's lying. With friend that I just met because of the podcast. Yeah, Adam Gagnon, otherwise known as the Imperial Remnant Podcast. So quiver with fear, New Republic. The Imperial Remnant is present. They are still around. They're not just legends anymore. But how are you, man? How's your Star Wars fandom today?
Doing really good. Thanks for having me on. This should be a lot of fun. Sure. I haven't actually been able to do a lot of collaborations in the, year and a half-ish that I've been doing my channel, so this is going to be fun.
Yeah, man. We haven't either. It was kind of our mission as here at the Force of Others was to be basically collaborators all the time.
Yeah.
I really wanted to have a show that was about getting to know as many people's perspectives as possible. Star Wars is so vast, and there's so many different ways into it and stuff. But tying into that question, before I get into our base interview, what made you want to be a Star Wars content creator?
Well, Star Wars has, which I'm sure for everybody who's watching a Star Wars channel or makes one or has a podcast or whatever it is, part of my life as long as I can remember. I think it was 7 or 8 when I found it, so the early 90s. And it was always something I went back to. I never dropped it, even in like high school. You know, maybe it's not cool to like Star Wars, and maybe I wasn't advertising it as much then, but it never went away. It was always part of who I was. And not to take things in a sad way, but my wife got really sick a few years ago. She's fine now. Everything worked out as good as it can. And she was the one going through it, but it was very stressful. And Star Wars, I got into it like deeper than ever because it was like a safety blanket. And that's what I thought, like, maybe I could do a YouTube thing, but it's too much to take on while she's going through what she's going through. So let me write videos and make them and practice editing, and if it turns into a chore or I hate it or whatever, I just delete it all like it never happened. And then when she got better, I was still enjoying doing it, so I started putting them up.
Awesome. Oh, so how many videos did you have kind of like in the can before you posted them?
I actually had almost 40, which some people were on building this room, and I ended up breaking that off into a separate channel that's been sadly ignored because it's hard enough to run one, but I got to get to it.
Yeah.
So it was a good thing and a bad. It was good because I was never super stressed on like, oh, I got to get a video out. But it was bad because I made a lot of bad editing choices. Or at first I was making them like, oh, the average view time on YouTube is like 3.5 minutes. So if I make all my videos 3.5 minutes, I'll get more of a percentage. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So it's probably good to start with like 12. Because then you have that little bit of buffer, but you're not like so committed. I had videos that I was like, well, the content's good, but I hate how I edited this, but I got to put it up because I made it, and it's not a good way to start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but having that many videos kind of in the backlog, that's cool. I haven't heard of anybody that did that. We just started posting stuff as soon as we started posting stuff, and we learned by failing. For the first
where I'm
little
at
bit.
now. Every week I'm like, I got to get at least like a week ahead in case something comes up, but in addition to a day job, I flip houses on the side, and none this year because the way that the market turned, but I did a couple last year, and my whole backlog is gone. So we're the same way. Now it's what you see, listeners and watchers, is what happened last week for the most part. But right on, man. So to get specific into our base interview questions, what's the first Star Wars memory that you have? My parents' house backed up to another kid's house who was a year older than me, so very close in age. And he's the first person I started hanging out with when I was like 6 and we moved into that house. And that's where we started watching the original trilogy. And it must have been his dad's. I'm not even sure who, but they had hundreds of the old Kenner toys. You know, the play sets, all the figures. They were all loose, so we played with them and stuff. But those are like my earliest Star Wars memories. And then I think the floodgates opened when someone handed me Heir to the Empire. And I was like, oh, there's more than 3 movies.
Nice. Yeah, we just reviewed Heir to the Empire. When this comes out, it'll have been the last episode.
Oh, very cool.
Probably the most influential Star Wars novel ever, at least in my opinion.
I think so. From my understanding, it launched the expanded universe. I mean, there was some content, but like this is like, oh, we're all gonna get on board. We're all gonna do this, and we're launching from here. And everything this thing says happened. Yeah,
and there were like a couple things before. There was the Marvel Comics run that started when the first movie came out. There was like the Han Solo trilogy. Like, you want to talk about Jackson the Rabbit Bounty Hunter? That's not even the weirdest thing by far.
No, those stories got real weird.
Yeah. Have you read that whole run, just out of curiosity?
Not the whole run, no, but like big chunks of it, especially now doing all these lore videos. oh, it's in, Marvel Star Wars from 1978, and then I try to pull up some pages and read it. I'm like, this is just wacky.
The 70s and the 80s were a very, very different time for sci-fi stuff. Yeah, I haven't read all of it, but every time one of my favorite ones that I discovered when I was a little kid was there was an Obi-Wan issue of like kind of the earliest depiction of, I guess, like the Old Republic times, and he's wearing like all black robes, very similar to Luke in Return of the Jedi. But, neither here nor there. But, so another question for you, my friend. If you had to pick one Star Wars hero, who's your favorite?
I think I still have to go with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Cool!
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's weird because I made that decision when there only was an original trilogy. It was even before the prequels came out.
Yeah.
But I remember reading, and I don't even remember what it was in, and at this point it might just be a memory that my mind made up. It might not even be a memory. But I remember reading that George Lucas said that Obi-Wan Kenobi was not the strongest, he wasn't particularly skilled, he wasn't the best lightsaber duelist, he was just a guy who never stopped trying. And for whatever reason, that just, like, really resonated, because I have that jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none thing going on, so Obi-Wan is, like, the guy. And then the prequels obviously made him even cooler.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I remember...
What's your answer?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, all the way. It's which, I know that's the basic answer, but I've just, when I was a kid, he was the first hero, right, that, I ever had. And then as I grew up and looking back on his arc and choosing pacifism at the end of Return of the Jedi, that, like, defining kind of what a Jedi is, to me, that's always been kind of my top. But
yeah,
Obi-Wan,
I definitely see that. He's probably a very close number 2.
Yeah, I get that. But so, the flip side, if you had to pick one villain, who's your favorite villain?
That's a tough one. There's so many cool villains at this point, and I like how varied they are. Like, Vader's an obvious choice. The design, the aesthetic. You get his whole arc from little kid all the way through, like, Anakin coming back in Ahsoka to, like, be the Anakin we want him to be. But then you have a guy like Maul, who even when the Sith abandon him, he's still just awesome and redefines himself like 3 or 4 times, but is consistent in how bad he is. And then you get like a Thrawn. So currently, I might even lead toward Maul, and nothing to take away from Vader, but I just feel like we've done the Vader thing.
Yeah, I like that. We have done the Vader thing. That I get that. So how are you feeling about Maul Shadow Lord next year?
Very excited for it, and a big part is not just the character, but it's also Sam Witwer's involvement. One, he's like uber fan, and he knows the lore inside and out, so you know it's going to pay respect because he's also involved in making the show, not just voicing it, but he's also just a great performer.
Yes. We just came from Rebel ScumCon a couple weekends ago. Sam Witwer was one of the guests there. He talked about just how much he loves this show, how much he loves Shadow Lord. And one of the things that he said, they're working his, this is weird, but I think it's cool. They're working his voice into the sound design of the show. So, like, a blaster will go off, and part of it will be him going, like, what? Just kind of weird stuff, and I'm like, that sounds really strange, and I don't know how that could work, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's like you describing it, it's like, that sounds horrible, but
it
doesn't seem like him and Filoni and whoever else is involved would do it if it was horrible.
Yeah, exactly. That was literally the thought that I had. I was like, how could that possibly work? But he seems excited about it, and Witwer loves this stuff and is opinionated about this stuff. So, we'll see. And he did confirm. He confirmed without confirming. Basically what he said is, what's a master without an apprentice? And then he was like, oh, that's all I can say.
Yeah, so, I like that.
Okay. So, but yeah, we're stoked for Shadow Lord. But all right. So we got kind of, at least right now, your favorite hero, your favorite villain. So totally different. Who's your favorite random alien background character, your favorite glup shitto, as they say?
That one I have a hard time with, because my channel is primarily shining a spotlight on background characters. Yeah. It's like I have a new one every day, because I'm writing one. I write at least 3 or 4 videos a week. Yeah. Like last night, I wrote it for, and I'm going to blank on the name even though I wrote it last night, Danik Jarek, who was the pipe-smoking alien in the Mos Eisley Cantina. He's on screen for half a second. but his legend has him as this weird kind of vampire who has tendrils come out of his mouth and eat people's brains, and that makes him mostly immortal, but he can also kind of eat metachlorians and get a little bit more force sensitive. And it's one of those legends things where like every character is force sensitive and every character is the most powerful in their way. Yeah. But I'm like, that's a cool thing to explore, that they kind of feed on other creatures, because in an infinite galaxy, you're going to have some aliens like that just don't really gel in a society with other ones. I don't know if that's my favorite, but it was the most recent, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I know that doesn't quite answer the question, but...
No, it does. I mean, that's cool. So is he... so he's a force vampire of sorts, I guess?
Well, he eats the brain matter, and that's what keeps him alive, like the whole species does. But then there's something in the legend about if he goes after, like, a really force-sensitive... They didn't say metachlorians, because the legend was written before metachlorians was a thing.
Yeah.
But, like, when Luke and Obi-Wan walk into the cantina... He's like, oh, these guys are going to be delicious. I got to get this. And he has that little bit of intuition and can kind of get into their mind. So it's like he's tapping into the Force, but not quite. But the Force isn't all things, so he is. And it's like, it doesn't really commit either way because it was early in the lore. But I thought with the lore the way it is now, if he can literally absorb some metachlorians, like what if you have one of these guys around for 2,500 years and he's like feeding on Force sensitives and just more and more powerful? Like, what is his upper limit? It would have to be the dark side because he's stealing it.
Yeah. That's wild. That's cool. Well, I don't know that I knew that lore. So
yeah, it's a
well
weird
done.
one.
But that he might show up as a villain in my home role-playing game. We'll see.
Yeah,
but,
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. So Adam, if Star Wars was real, and if you had a Jedi weapon, what color would your lightsaber be?
This is not a fun answer, but I go with the classic blue.
Hey, that was my answer too, man. Blue, all the Jedi Guardian all the way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah, it ties into Obi-Wan. It ties into Luke's beginning journey. I want to say something cool like orange, or I guess my second choice would be white, just because the lore of taking down a Sith and healing the crystal, like that's pretty cool.
Right on. That's one of my favorite kind of, canon and legends having... I treat it all as a mixed bag, right? But one of my favorite things from canon is just the lore of crystal bleeding and then crystal purifying, I guess, to make white blades. I've always thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it's almost like Lost, like when Ahsoka shows up with the 2 white blades. Those of us who know are like, oh, that's so cool. If you're just watching the show at face value, which a lot of people do, and that's totally fine, it still looks cool, but like, that she took down at least 2 dark side users and healed at least 2 crystals.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, all right, man. Oh, so here's a totally different question, a weird one. If you could have a Star Wars tattoo, what would it be?
I was actually planning last year to get tattoos.
Cool.
Did really good in house flipping, and as you can see, tattoos don't show up on me so well. So I was going to get all this taken care of, and then do a villain's half sleeve and a hero's half sleeve.
Ooh.
Really overcommit, because I have no tattoos right now, so that's a lot. So I wanted to build it out slow, start with like maybe the Jedi symbol and then build around it to see if I like it. Yeah. But the hair removal was so cost prohibitive that I have no tattoos.
Hey, I'm a little hairy guy myself, so I get it. But that's funny. That's cool. It's a whole sleeve. That's wild.
Yeah, I pictured like Maul with the double sabers, and then like Sidious and Vader, and maybe Dooku down here, Grievous, and just get them all in there, and then same thing over on the other side with, it'd have to be like Luke. I like the Ahsoka with the double white sabers.
Yeah.
Probably Luke, black cloak, green saber.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, that's awesome. Well, that would be cool. Sorry about all the hair removal, though.
Yeah.
In theory, that would be rad. All right, so... this is a very wide-ranging, vague question. And you can go in-universe, you can go out-of-universe, it can be whatever you want this to mean. But if you had to pick one, what's your favorite Star Wars story?
Ooh, that's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Can I say the entire of the original trilogy, or is that too broad?
That's perfect. We've had people say that before. That's great. So
yeah,
if
I had to pick one, and I go back and forth on this all the time, lately it's been A New Hope, because if all we ever got was A New Hope, you could still watch it, enjoy it, you get a full beginning to end story.
Yeah.
Empire's usually people's go-to, but you can't really do that one on its own. It needs setup and it needs a resolution. So yeah, I would have to say out of the movies, it would be A New Hope. Overall stories like expanded universe and all that, I really like Luke rebuilding the Jedi Order in Legends.
Cool. Well, what makes that in particular stand out to you?
I like that. Well, one, it's like Luke at his best. It's the Luke Skywalker we all want to see. You know, Luke Prime. He's past the struggles with the dark side. He's fully a Jedi Master. He's such a great guy that an assassin is after him, and then within a few years they get married. Like, he's that great.
Yeah.
And I also like just rebuilding the Jedi Order, because when that was written, we didn't see the Jedi Order in the prequels. We didn't see it in the High Republic books where they're supposed to be at their best. So it's Luke doing it, but it's kind of with a twist. Like, he's doing it his way. Like, he can get married. They're allowed to do these different things. They can kind of live their own lives while still be a Jedi Knight. And I kind of like taking some of the more stringent, prohibitive things out of it.
Yes, 100%. It's we'll get into it a little bit, but it's not an original opinion, but it's one of my bigger hangups about the sequel trilogy. Was to me, Luke Skywalker. I mean, of course, redeemed Darth Vader, believed in him for reasons that, like, when you watch the movie, it's like, why?
Right?
Why?
He was the only one who saw it.
Yeah, but then that, to me, it was always that Luke understood that his attachment to his father basically saved or solved Star Wars. So moving forward, I liked a Luke that embraced attachment. Embraced attachment without possession, if that makes sense.
Yes, exactly. I was just going to say that, because that is the distinction. Like Anakin says, well, Jedi are allowed to love. We're encouraged to love. It's like, yes, but not what you're doing.
Yeah. 100%. So I just hope we get stories like that eventually. And I
have a lot of thoughts on a sequel to the sequel trilogy, because that's where the ball lies. People don't have to like it, but that's where we're at, so we need to go on from it. And I could talk about that endlessly.
Well, I mean, let's dive in. So, what would you want to see out of a sequel to the sequel trilogy?
My first thing is that Rey has to fall to the dark side.
Okay, cool.
One, a lot of the people's problems with her is that she didn't earn her powers. So we have Anakin's created by the Force as an answer to Palpatine's rising power. He is the chosen one. That whole thing exactly plays out. I'm not stepping on any of that.
Yeah.
So then we get Rey, who is something of an offspring of Palpatine, the daughter of a clone, and she gets all this power. So you could argue that the Force made it easier for her to obtain that power because he's back. But the whole trilogy, she's scared. She's afraid of losing her friend. She's afraid of being abandoned by her parents. She says, I'm afraid, like 30 times in those movies. So she would have to fall to the dark side at some point. And as that's going on, because I also think she could have a really cool internal struggle of nature versus nurture. Am I going to turn evil because I'm a Palpatine, or am I going to turn evil because I'm afraid I'm going to turn evil?
Yeah.
So you could have her, like, on the precipice and then end up falling, and not out of, like, I want power for myself, but just out of insecurity. More like how Anakin fell. And then I would have Ahsoka be the Obi-Wan character and kind of guiding a new era of Jedi, even though she would want to stay removed from a little bit because she doesn't consider herself a traditional Jedi. And I would have Finn be the apprentice to Sabine, because by this time Sabine would have grown into her own power. Cool. And Finn would be the one to bring Rey back into the fold, and I would have that happen in the third of the trilogy, so that we can spend time with Rey as the villain, but also spend some time with a redeemed Jedi, because we haven't seen that on screen.
Cool. Yeah.
I would also want to do something new with an overall villain, and I do kind of a podcast format on my channel with my buddy Noah, who's super deep into it like we are.
Cool.
And he gave me the idea of having Poe be kind of a new villain, but not outright evil, where you have Mon Mothma and the New Republic trying to reestablish things. And in Legends, when the New Republic came in, they completely demilitarized, which makes no sense, because then you give room for the Imperial Remnant or the Yuuzhan Vong or whatever to come and take over. So Poe would want the best for the New Republic, but he is like, we're Federalists, we need a military, we're not taking anyone's crap, and it's almost like he's going too hard. So then we could have cool things where him and Finn are still friends, even if they're not seeing eye to eye. Yeah. And he could be kind of a villain, but he's not a dark side user. He's not trying to get galactic domination for himself. He's just doing things the wrong way.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, all that was rad.
Thank you.
We like fan fiction, fan speculation here on this show.
Yeah, I want to start leaning more into that on my own channel, too, just because it's fun.
It's so fun. And that's the thing, is, make the content that you want to see. You know what I mean? But, the Rey of it all, it's like, and I know that there are probably a couple Rise of Skywalker, I don't want to say defenders, but, like, lovers that are probably right now going, they did that, her struggle with the dark side, but everybody can tell there were so many things in the sequels that there were interesting ideas that didn't really get fleshed out. I think everybody would agree that and everybody knows the tonal inconsistencies and everything else, and
right.
there are things that everybody would change, but I would love to see a kind of a make good, I think this is what you're saying, kind of on Rey's vision of Empress Rey, Empress Palpatine. Not necessarily an empire, like a emperor, but her falling to the dark side for a bit and having to deal with that.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't have her get a bunch of acolytes under her. I don't even think an apprentice. I think it would be kind of a solo thing where she's just ultra powerful because the Palpatine DNA, and just lost in the void. And Finn tries for a while, fails, and eventually succeeds in bringing her back. And I'm the first one to say that I don't like all of these characters being redeemed. Like, some people are just bad. Like, I don't think Kylo Ren should have been redeemed. I think it's more interesting if he's not. But in this case, because Rey is supposed to be Lucasfilm's new hero going forward, they've even said publicly, like, we're putting all of our eggs in the Rey basket.
Yeah.
Okay, try to win more people over before you do that. If you have, like, a Phoenix Rising from the Ashes story, some of the people who didn't like her, call her Mary Sue, could maybe get on board with, like, okay, now she's earned it a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say it, I love the characters of the sequel trilogy. I'm not the biggest fan of how they were used.
Yeah, exactly. I love a lot of the ideas. I love the characters. The execution wasn't quite there.
Yeah, right on.
Especially Finn. Like, John Boyega's so good. Yeah. Finn, a defect stormtrooper, finding his Force sensitivity. That could have been so interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I've said it on the show before, but it was so funny, just for me personally, watching Rise of Skywalker, I didn't get that he was Force sensitive the first couple times. Might just be that I'm too dense, but I was going, this feeling, what is he talking about? Going off of instincts. And then I saw an interview with Chris Terrio, JJ's co-writer, and he said, yeah, we were trying to allude to Force sensitivity. And I was like, oh, why didn't you say this?
That didn't come across to me at all either. Like, when they're sinking in the quicksand, he's like, I got something to tell you. I thought he was going to say I'm in love with you. Because the whole in Force Awakens, he's like always asking her if she has a boyfriend or where's she going. He's always grabbing her hand. Like, I thought that's what they were doing, which even that felt a little bit forced, but I did not get like, oh, by the way, I feel the Force. It's like, at a what?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah. Well, and then I saw an interview recently. We posted a clip on the channel of Boyega with, I think it was Josh Horowitz, Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, but he said that they did a couple takes where what he yelled before he went through the quicksand was, I'm a Jedi, and then he falls through. Which,
that's bad.
Terrible line.
Yeah.
but to double down and say, like, just like what I have the Force, like it's a real thing. Anyway, but neither here nor there. Awesome speculation, awesome fan fiction. I'm digging it. But to kind of put an umbrella over all of your Star Wars fandom, what does Star Wars mean to you?
Well, like I said at the start, it's kind of that. It's always been that constant, like refuge. Like, things get too stressful, pop on a Star Wars movie, listen to a Star Wars book, read a Star Wars book, read the comics, create a video even, and then like it's always been a thing. Like, I had a hard time in school, and then when these special editions came out, my mom would take me out of school. We'd go see them together on opening day. She doesn't care at all about Star Wars. It was just so we could spend time together. So that always meant a lot to me. So it's just always been this thing that's been there for me, but also I've always liked mythology. Like, I love ancient Rome, ancient Greece, those ancient stories, and this is our modern version of that. You could make the same argument with, like, Marvel Comics, Marvel superheroes, DC superheroes. So this is my version of all that as well. And just the fact that it's like this infinite pool that you can just keep diving into and keep finding new stories. Even with just the 3 movies, we could still sit here and speculate endlessly about them. So the fact that it's always growing, there's always more to like.
Yeah. Love it. Fantastic. Summed it up excellently. All right, man. So we finished the kind of the base interview, and now it's time for some nonsense games.
Sure.
So coming up first is the ridiculous Rathtar random hard trivia question.
This I was worried about. As someone with a lore channel, if I get this wrong.
Well, and it's a balance because the whole point of this is that I want it to be such a ridiculous question that, like, if you get it right, wow, that's impressive. And if you get it wrong, no one should care. Congratulations, you have a life. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But you are a lore YouTuber, so I don't know, like, we'll see. Some people will just ace the question, and I'm like, oh, okay, I should have made it harder. But so we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Legends.
Okay.
All right. So the term the Darksaber was not the black Mandalorian lightsaber originally in Legends. There was a different thing. It was a knockoff Death Star, right? It was just the housing of the super laser looking like a lightsaber floating in space. They called it the Darksaber. So in that novel that it comes from, what is the name of the hut that commissioned the Darksaber space station?
Not even a guess. Not even a guess. Not a clue.
Nice. Okay, no pressure. But Durga the Hutt is the name of this hut. I was going to ask you what was the other use of the term the Darksaber. Would you have gotten that one?
I think I would have said a super weapon, but I don't think I would have been as descriptive as you were.
Oh, it's all. I just, little lore dive on me. I think that this very well might have been the first Star Wars novel I ever read at like 9 or 10 years old, and it's like it's hated now. People hate this thing, but when I was 10,
what is the novel?
I'm
awesome. Not even.
Oh, it's just called Darksaber.
Oh, okay.
And
so yeah, I didn't even know that. So.
Oh, there you go. I think it's a Kevin J. Anderson novel, one of the ones that
he does
wrote.
good work.
Yeah. But this one is very, very silly. There's a lot to go into. Also features the death of Crix Maydeen, if I remember right.
Okay.
But anyway, deep 90s lore. Okay,
yeah, you definitely got me on that one.
Hey, yes, that's okay. You still won because congratulations, you don't have, you have a life. But all right. So now we're gonna do a much more no pressure, fun, silly game. So we're gonna do a blind ranking. If you're cool with that.
Okay.
5 Star Wars TV series. So the way this goes, right? I'm gonna name 5 Star Wars TV shows. You don't know what's coming next, right? And so 1 being the best, 5 being the worst, or your least favorite, I guess in this instance. Very clickbaity, this game, but it's a good time. So, okay.
All right.
Coming up first, The Acolyte.
Oh, so I have to rank them before I even hear them all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's the bit. Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a trap coming, so I'm going to put that at 4.
Right on. Okay. All right, so Acolyte is at 4. Coming up next, Andor.
Oh, that's a 1. Oh, sorry, 2. We're going to go with 2.
2. Okay.
I'm going to play it safe and kind of pad the middle.
Awesome. Okay. So coming up, so we've got the Acolyte, we've got Andor. Coming up next, The Mandalorian.
That's the number 1. That's why I kept the slot open.
Right on.
That
Out of curiosity,
live action Star Wars TV.
Dude, and in many ways, The Mandalorian kind of launched the streaming business.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of in general. But anyway. All right. So, out of curiosity, is that your favorite Star Wars show, just kind of in general?
I would say so. Like, I know Andor is better written, like, objectively.
Sure.
The characters go deeper, but I would give it to The Mandalorian because it has more of a Star Wars feel. It ties into the wider lore. I love the time period it's set in. And I know a lot of people complained about Filoni bringing in some Rebels characters and stuff. I love that show, so I'm all on board. I'm all in for Filoni. So that show is great.
Yeah. And I agree with everything you said.
Great.
So I would retweet everything you just said. But all right, so we got The Mandalorian at 1, Andor at 2, The Acolyte at 4. So we still have 3 and 5 left. So deep dive on this one. The animated show Ewoks from the 80s.
That's why I wanted to leave 5 open. I haven't seen all of it. I've seen episodes. I'm going to put it at 5, and it's not even like, oh, I hate that show, screw that show. It's just, it means nothing to me. I could rewatch The Acolyte, and I think it looks great. I think the effects are great. I think some of the characters are very interesting, and the villain's amazing. I can't say that about Ewoks.
Yeah. Ewoks is a perfectly fine 80s show for kids.
Yeah, just leave it there.
No
That's
shade.
fine. I have nothing against it.
I mean?
I just don't care.
Yeah, right on. But okay, so then your number 3 goes into that slot immediately. The Clone Wars, the 3D Dave Filoni Clone Wars show.
Okay, that's fair. I love that show, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, right on. So we got Mando at 1, Andor at 2, Clone Wars at 3, Acolyte at 4, and Ewoks at 5. So
I
just
don't think anyone can come after me for that.
yeah. It's a little bit of a trap game, but it's a good time.
No, it's a good game. I like that.
Yeah, thanks, man. But so of all those shows, I guess kind of what sticks out to you about Clone Wars? You talked about how you love that show.
Well, filling in the era was huge. You know, Obi-Wan mentions the Clone Wars in 1977, and then it's not until 2002 that we get an inkling of what it is, and then it's not until 2008 that we get to see what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the show, because I didn't even watch it at first, I don't like the art style so much. It's just it's a little bit off to me. I don't know how to put my finger on it. Some of the voice acting just doesn't work at all. Like, I don't know why Jimmy Smith's character, why Bail Organa's Jamaican in it. It makes no sense. But I love, like, the Anakin stuff, the Obi-Wan relationship. I really like Ahsoka. If we were still doing the favorite characters, Ahsoka's, like, vying for 2 and 3 with Luke, just because if you look at Luke only in canon, not so great, and Ahsoka's arc is amazing, so... it does a lot of great stuff with the lore, and then bringing in crazy stuff like the Mortis gods and just going those insane places, the Force priestesses. It does so much great work in the lore realm. And then it's just an exciting, fun show.
Yeah. Once again, I retweet all of those things.
Thank you.
My thoughts on
Bad Batch, because, man, that show was great, too.
Dude, and Bad Batch was such a kind of like a dark horse show. That some people know about it, and then others, they were like, what is that? I never even heard of this one. We just have so much Star Wars to get through now.
Right,
Well, so what'd you love about Bad Batch?
Well, I think Bad Batch took everything great about the Clone Wars and then made it more personal, because you're not focused on 30 main characters, you got 5. And it does a great job of walking that line of, like, oh, you know, Wrecker's more for, like, the kid-friendly side of it. He's, like, this goofy, lovable oaf. But then you get into stuff like... I just totally blanked on his name. The sniper.
Crosshair.
Crosshair. Yeah. I keep wanting to say Hunter because he's got the rifle, but Hunter's the leader. You got Crosshair's whole arc. We're going into season 3. I'm like, no, screw this guy. He had his chance. He took his chip out. He's still evil. Like, I want nothing to do with him. He shouldn't be redeemed. And when they redeem him, I'm like, okay, yeah, I wanted that. They got me. Like, storytelling was so good. I even watched it with my wife, she'll watch Star Wars with me because I'm watching it, and she likes those shows because they're, you know, it's cotton candy. It's just very easy to absorb. It's no stakes, whatever.
Yeah.
She even said, you watch the show and you forget it's animated. The characterization is so good that you forget it's a cartoon.
Yeah. I agreed. 100%. I loved Bad Batch, and I haven't read the novel that just came out. It'll be a bit. We're working through, selling the podcast for a second. We're working through all of the Legends material that we think the Mandoverse and Ahsoka and all that stuff in general is getting ready to pull from. So we're reading the Thrawn trilogy. Well, we're reading the Thrawn trilogy right now, and then I'm also working through the Fate of the Jedi book series for the first time, because we don't know, but we're all pretty sure that Abeloth is probably going to show up in Ahsoka
I've been seeing
season
that.
2.
Yeah.
You know, that's never been confirmed by anybody, but I'm just putting the pieces together. That might be what Filoni's going to do. But so, tying into that for a moment, what do you want to see out of Ahsoka season 2? Because that's coming next year at some point.
Ahsoka season 2, I want to see them explore the Force more. I can never get enough of that. And I think that is actually how we kind of linked up, is you had a short out saying about balance in the Force, which it drives me crazy how many people still don't get it. I even made a video. It was like 20 common misconceptions, even from superfans or something along those lines. And one of them was imbalance in the Force. And so many comments are like, well, no, actually, you're wrong because of this. And it's like, I'm not saying I know everything. I'm going to get things wrong. Call me out. That's fine. Yeah. But, like, look into it, because the examples they give are exactly why they're wrong. So now I have a video on Bendu coming out, a video on Grey Jedi coming out, a video on the Force God, the Mortis Gods coming out. It's like, so I think Ahsoka needs to get into the Mortis Gods and just, like, put that to rest. Like, restate Yoda from Empire Strikes Back if you have to. Just get it done.
Well, and so lay it down for everybody. How does it, in your mind, how does the balance of the Force work? How does the Grey Jedi stuff work? Like, what is that to you?
The Force is the light side. It doesn't mean you're pure and you've never done anything wrong in your whole life. It's being as good a person as you can be and not succumbing to things like fear and anger and greed and not letting it consume you. Like, Luke Skywalker in his prime is going to have a bad day. He's going to lash out at somebody, he's going to get mad, and then he's got to take a second, reframe, think about it, make it right, like whatever it is. And that's based on, like, Eastern Hindu and Buddhist philosophies. Like, we have thousands of years on this planet about exactly that thing. It's not a scale. Like, if you say that it's a scale, that means for every life Luke Skywalker saves, he has to then find somebody and just execute them so that the scales balance, a murder for a saved life. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So there can't be someone walking a middle path, because if you're... The Force also isn't like a video game tree where you put a point into each skill and, like, this one's light and this one's dark and now I'm in balance. If you start, like, putting all of your anger and rage into a Force lightning power to electrocute somebody... That's an evil thing to do. You can't just, like, then go and save some puppies and make it okay. Like, you're making these conscious evil choices. Like, Yoda even says it will consume you. Like, forever will it dominate your destiny. And in the case of Vader, he was wrong, which is also why I don't want every character ever to be redeemed. Even though I made that pitch for Rey. But, you know, we're kind of all over the place. So balance is being in the light, and the dark is always there. It's always present. It's not letting it take over. That's the goal of the Jedi. Yeah. Yes, 100%. And I think, because, I think the first time we hooked up, it was, I put out a short about why, in my opinion, Dave Filoni must eventually be he already is the chief creative officer. That's right, yes.
I was talking about the rumor of him and I believe it's Andy Heck are in line to take over Lucasfilm. If I'm getting that wrong, I'll put it in the doobly-doo below.
Yeah, I thought it was a woman who was going to be in charge with Filoni. I can't remember her name, but she's been part of it for a while.
Yeah, I think her name is Andy Heck, but I know that she's a long-time... Yeah. You're good. But I think that she's a long-time producer, and that's worked with him, and the idea was that he handles the creativity and she'll handle the business side. But I said basically that. I was like, if nothing else, Filoni needs to be in charge because he understands what George was getting at with the Force better and more intimately than anybody else, and you have to have that right, because everything that you just said, like the Kyle Katarn games are incredible, right? Loved them when I was a kid. The Force cannot work that way. If it does, it just falls apart completely.
It's not a superpower. It's an energy field. It's energy. Like, there is no, I'm going to use Force jump so I can jump. I'm going to use Force speed so I can run. You're channeling energy into your muscles, your blood vessels. You're thinning the air. I forget what Legends book it was, but there was this really cool scene where Luke is stuck in, like, a crevice of a volcano or some kind of hot spring or something was going to, like, cook him alive. And it describes how he uses the Force and gathers it under him and just flings himself. And then he uses it to steady himself in the air and control his descent. So it's like, he didn't fly and he didn't use an ability. He just manipulated an energy field. And describing it that way stuck with me forever, because I'm like, that's how it works. Like, Force choke isn't about choking. It's the same as, like, if I was using the Force to hold this bottle. It's the same thing.
Yeah. That was something tying into the Force not being, like you're saying, a skill tree or specific powers. I now use Force speed. It was something that for all of its blemishes, it was something that I did really like about the Acolyte, that killing a Jedi without a weapon really all that it was what we know to be Force choke, but they made it special. They made it a special thing that she's using the Force to kill someone. You know, character motivations or it, you know, arguably lack thereof aside, I really appreciated that they made Force choke a special thing beyond just, I'm going to use the Force to constrict the airway. If that makes
I actually
sense.
had a different read on that.
Hit me.
I don't think he ever says kill a Jedi without using a weapon. I think he says defeat or something along those lines where you could easily read kill into it. But I thought what he meant was what Vernestra Rowe actually ends up doing, where they scapegoat all this bad stuff onto Soul. That was my read. I might be wrong too, or I might be wrong, but...
Well, it's probably both, honestly.
It could be, both or either.
But yeah, because the real answer is it is both. And, you know,
sure.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. I just took it as like a bigger picture, like killing a Jedi kind of makes them martyrs, but if you destroy what a Jedi is, that really takes them down.
Yeah, 100%. Which is ultimately what Emperor Palpatine did, and how he became Emperor Palpatine. But right on, man. This was awesome. Thanks for hanging out on the show. That was a lot of fun. This was great. And real quick, before I let you go, let the people know where they can find you, where they can find your stuff.
The channel is Imperial Remnant Podcast, just because Imperial Remnant is way too generic, and it was a terrible name for me to have chosen in the beginning, but I didn't know that. So primarily YouTube. I do have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but YouTube is my big push. I also have a sister channel that I have to breathe more life into, Imperial Remnant Builds, and it's how I built this room that I'm sitting in. Cool. And once the room build is done, I'm going to go through calibrating, because it's actually a home theater. So calibrating it, getting it all up to speed, and then 3D prop building, 3D printing, and that kind of stuff. So Imperial Remnant Podcast is for the lore, and Imperial Remnant Builds is for the real-world stuff.
Right on. Well, go check all that out, everybody. And Adam, I mean, we got to have you on the show again at some point.
Oh, anytime. That was a ton of fun. I could do this all day.
Absolutely, dude. We'll do a lore deep dive at some point. More of that coming for the show. But until then, the Force of Others will be with you, and I'm going to throw it back to me and Zach.
And we're back from the Interview Cantina. Thank you so much, Imperial Remnant Podcast, for being on the show. I wasn't able to be there, but I really enjoyed watching that interview. As far as you, dear listener, if you want to get involved with the show, the best way to get involved is to email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com. I'm a voice actor. Did you know that? I can talk. I can read, at least, sometimes. Anyways, if you want to get involved, email us, forceofothersradio@gmail.com, or get into the comments. We got a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of interviews coming up, and then we're also probably going to get back into all of the comics that we have kind of fallen off of covering. We got a ton of comics to really go over. I'm behind, Matt's behind me. We're also reading Heir to the Empire, book 2.
Dark Force Rising.
So, we got a lot of stuff coming up for you before the year's end. So lots of stuff to look forward to that. Matt, anything to add before we send him out?
Just next week, we're going to have another interview with Me Moby. You can find him on Instagram and his podcast, Me Moby's Galaxy, I think is what it's called. But I don't know. You'll find out more about that next week. And then also, on top of Dark Force Rising and comics, then I'm going to get back to my read of the Fate of the Jedi series to get ready for Ahsoka Season 2. But all of that and more is coming in the future.
We're probably going to have another actual play as well for October, and we're also going to have our Halloween special as well, because that is something that I think was really fun that we did, and I want to write more spooky stories. So, anyways, lots to look up for the rest of the year. Thank you for being here. If you have come from Rebel ScumCon, welcome to our show. We didn't really talk about that last week, but if you're new here, welcome. This is about you guys. We're the Force of Others, not the Force of Matt and Zach. So we're interviewing people. We're trying to really, push forward our mission statement. So welcome, and we're glad to have you here. And remember, the Force of Others will be with you.
Always.
The Force of Others, a Star Wars podcast.